Well, there you have it. Finally official. James Franklin to become Virginia Tech's next head football coach. As we come to you here live from Kolby's Corner from some random nondescript Chick-fil-A somewhere in North Carolina on the way back from Florida State. But finally gets across the finish line. The long awaited, as reported over on VTScoop.com, James Franklin, Virginia Tech, officially in the works. So jump into it. Initial thoughts, live reaction. Not hyperbolic to say the largest hire, biggest hire in Virginia Tech program history. Just what went into this when it was first initially thought of that James Franklin obviously got fired at Penn State. I came on Kolby's Corner and elsewhere, and hopefully the Wi-Fi sticks on, thinking that this was something that wouldn't even be possible. And for it to go the way that it has over the last couple of weeks, how it felt like it was going to get done, how a lot of people never thought it would get across the finish line, for it to finally come to a close, it cannot be said enough for how program defining for the school it really is. So just so massive to get that across the line. Appreciate everyone jumping in here, as obviously breaking news, new details coming out by the second. But what a time. You know, you heard sometime over the weekend, early this week, and this lines up with obviously that big Miami weekend when talking to different sources and coaches and players. Like it lined up for this weekend. I mean, you really can't say enough about it. And like I said, reacting to this live on the drive back from Florida. So digesting it along with everyone as you're getting these texts and calls waiting in the car. But you cannot say how big of a hire this was. Get into some comments. But I mean, next staff this weekend for Miami, obviously going to want to get in there and start hitting the pavement on different things, wanting to get that 26 class shored up. Talk about a guy like Cole Bergeron. I was just on the horn with Buddy Wegdom there. Obviously fielding a ton of different calls at the moment, but I mean, this is really big. When you're hearing guys and different guys locked in, can't say enough. Got 27s, 26s, a lot. I don't know how at all they're going to shape up this recruiting weekend. I mean, you already had guys locked in. It's going to be a lot. I know this weekend in Blacksburg, usually right before Thanksgiving, is a little bit less full. People doing other things. But I think it's going to be a spectacle in Lane Stadium. Also now, you know, I feel confident saying a lot's out there on the table. That Wednesday night game in Castle for the men's basketball game. Heard reports that James Franklin's obviously going to be announced there in the crowd. So I think that's something to look at, you know, as you start to figure this all out. You know, you bring up guys like a Tommy Wilder that decommitted. Like, your head just goes so many different places as you're sort of all digesting it. Like, you've thought about it for weeks, but it really dragged out there. And I know a lot of people, as it got stale, like, where else, like, was Virginia Tech going to go? Like, yes, Sexton is a masterclass agent, but every time Virginia Tech stepped up, obviously when you talk about the budget, it's crazy because, like, I think the Board of Visitors just got out of all their meetings there. So once that got sent over to the lawyers, I think that was pretty expeditious. Obviously, they had their Board of Visitors meeting for them to get that wrapped up and make this official. You really do kind of get speechless when you think about it for the trajectory of Virginia Tech and the investment into football. So a lot to be seen. Make sure to go jump over to VTScoop.com. That is going to be the place to be going forward. Staffing, recruiting, transfer portal, what it all means. There's no better place. I mean, such a shout out to Evan, all the mods, all the insiders over there at VT Scoop, Matei, Doug, Amber, Chris doing basketball, everything. It's a team effort throughout the entire search, the entire process. You really just, you can't even put it into words how program defining it can be, obviously with all the investment. So, yeah, appreciate it coming to here live from, I don't know where I am in Chick-fil-A once you get that phone call. But, yeah, we'll jump into it. Dump any questions in the chat. We'll touch on those. You think about what this could mean for this weekend. Obviously, the twists and turns of the search, flight tracking. I think people have just got to a point where it's like it's over and now people can sleep easy. And it works out. Like, you cannot say enough about what it means for this weekend in Miami. To get that 2-week head start, it's going to be really, really big. Talking to different recruits, being on the horn with them. So we'll see how it all shakes out. Just some of those initial thoughts. But I mean, now at the same time, guys on the active roster, you sort of got a little bit of a runway to sort of your debut, or go show out, because as you formulate this roster, I think you can feel pretty confident that James Franklin's going to bring anywhere in the neighborhood of close to 20 to 30 guys with him. So it's going to be interesting to see as you start to build out that roster, signing days that first week of December, and then jumping into the portal, how the staff's going to shake out. In that same vein, I have heard reports wide receivers coach Fontel Mines could potentially, and sounds pretty good, like he will remain on staff. Others we'll see. A lot of that's up in the air, but yeah, pretty crazy. It was working this way, and everyone obviously fielding questions from different recruits and people. You thought this was going to get done, but as Virginia Tech has shown time and time again, and maybe this is the program defining moment where, there's two hats on the table, and now Virginia Tech gets a couple more looks. And it's funny, it's on the day, not only of the Board of Visitors meeting, but also on the day, if you are VTScoop.com faithful, that the catering event, November 17th, it was etched in stone over on the board that today would be the day. So this will cover Kolby's Corner. Now we don't have to rush back to Blacksburg, Virginia to make that 8:30 date. We got to stop in beautiful state of North Carolina. That was it. That is fully within the 6-hour footprint of Virginia Tech. So if you want to look at it, Brian Doan just dropped a really great article over on the website about why James Franklin is such an elite recruiter in this process. When you talk to not only recruits, parents, staff, this is someone that makes everyone in the room feel super valuable. Obviously, a lot of the credit falls at the foot of the head coach, but someone who makes everyone feel like they're a part of it. If you have a conversation with him, like, there's no such thing as a 30-second conversation, even if it is just a quick catch up. It's someone who's really heavily invested in everything that's going on at every level of the organization, as just hearing people that have worked with him or have been close to him, recruits. Obviously, the tweet yesterday about talking about different 26s and 27s that will take an official visit or visit wherever he ends up. That's the type of pull he has. And I know the Penn State logo meant a lot, and it should be, obviously, but just the type of personality it is, it's still the players on the field making the plays. And he's someone who can relate with them and, has done an incredible job. So phone's absolutely going crazy trying to get through everything there. But yeah, appreciate everyone jumping in here. It's going to be an absolute wild time on VTScoop.com. So many layers, twists, and turns. It's VTScoop.com. We'll have a lot of behind the scenes stuff and a lot of stuff projecting forward. But I think Doug's going to have a column here dropping soon. But when you look at the recruiting angle, what he was able to do in the state of Virginia, and what other opportunities open up in the high school ranks, some of those guys, Davian Brown, Matthew Lama, that linebacking core. And I think a really big thing in this is that Virginia Tech came correct. Obviously, rev share is great. The NIL numbers, were they competitive this year? Maybe in the ACC ranks. They are committed and signed for a lot. When you make a hire like this, he's going to come with, obviously, demands, are rightfully so, for the resume. But they put everything on the table and more. Negotiations were done, and there was a couple back and forth. And like I said, it's great negotiations when you know that the school of Virginia Tech obviously can't really pivot anywhere else. You want to make it the most advantageous for yourself. So many people were involved in this. I think they deserve a ton of credit. I don't think to diminish even former Virginia Tech head coach Brent Pry's involvement in maybe assisting and getting this across the finish line. A lot of people had a hand in this, but when this search started back after the Old Dominion game, I'm not sure so many people could have expected or anticipated it going the way for Virginia Tech to land James Franklin. What an elite hire, someone that checks all the boxes, has done it at a really high level, and could really fall into that program defining. I led the show like that. And, you've been waiting for this moment. You've had everything prepped, but it's not really official until you cross that dotted line, because there's a holdup with lawyers and getting through that, the buyout terms. But pretty insane here on Monday, November 17th, James Franklin, Virginia Tech, in terms to become the next head football coach at Blacksburg, Virginia. And it sets you up, like I said, for Monday to start trying to build out some infrastructure, get that Saturday game, get official visits. Going to be roaming the sidelines on Saturday. It's going to be extremely busy. I would implore everyone to go over to vtscoop.com, $1 down. That is going to be the largest inflow of news, arguably, since the Beamer days. So go check it out over there. Big recruiting weekend ahead. Staff updates out the wazoo, obviously, once the season ends, and then right into high school signing day there that first week. So make sure to stay tuned in to vtscoop.com. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow on X at Kolby_Crawford. But you really just can't undersell how program defining this hire is. I mean, instantly getting feedback from recruits. Yeah, just like you cannot put that to words. How everyone saw the direction it was going, but there's still a lot of uncertainty, and now a lot of that is clear. I would expect a lot of really high level recruits to be in town on Saturday. There's going to be a ton of headaches with infrastructure and that, but you got to ride this wave of excitement, and that's going to be another thing. When James Franklin gets to town, obviously support staff and building out that arm of the program. I'm not sure how exactly they're going to fit that, but this is going to be another thing as well on the back end, what the staff's going to look like. But yeah, I mean, for today, James Franklin, Virginia Tech, pretty insane. But yeah, appreciate everyone jumping in here. I highly recommend go over to vtscoop.com for more updates, analysis as it comes out. I'm not exactly sure if contract details have emerged yet, but just went live immediately after for some quick thoughts. Program defining, someone who has done it at an elite level, multiple stops, can bring game-changing talent to Blacksburg, Virginia, which at the end of the day is the biggest deal. And just had great trees of staff. You know, when you even go back to everything in this process was so intentional. At least once they locked in on Franklin, there was really no foot out of place. When you talk about him roaming the sidelines for the Old Dominion game, being in the state of Virginia, being down in the footprint, nothing was sort of left to chance. And, you know, what did Michael Jackson say for his halftime show? Make them wait. Got to make them wait for it. And now ride that wave of momentum this week, obviously through Thanksgiving and the Commonwealth Clash week, and try and fortify the best roster moving forward. So appreciate everyone jumping in here. Going to have a very, very busy rest of the car ride back to Blacksburg, Virginia, where we'll have even more from boots on the ground. But yeah, appreciate it. Everyone have a great rest of your week. Enjoy it. And we'll have a ton more coming out regarding James Franklin, Virginia Tech. But yes, program defining here on Monday, November 17th. James Franklin, the next head coach of Virginia Tech. We'll see everyone next time. No Kolby's Corner tonight. I would implore everyone to go to vtscoop.com because we will be dumping content continuously over there. But no live stream tonight. This will suffice for that. We'll see everyone next time. Appreciate it. God bless.